All right, folks. So we're going to get back to programming Cache the Clown. I did have to make a change in my code. I had a small typo or something I missed. So your event should read this way: if the event is an input event mouse button. I believe I was missing some of that before. Then we check if event button index is the left button and the event is pressed, then it'll do these things. So when I go to play, now when I uh, hover over and click a key or do something else, it doesn't register. But when I do click the clown, you can see down here, it does read that input. So small mistake that I made, but it is corrected now. And now I'm ready to start getting some feedback to the player to let them know how they're doing. So in order to do that, I'm actually in Game Maker, we've been using something called a controller, but in Godot, we have something that can work the same way, and that's just using the root node here. So I'm going to go back to game. I'm going to add a child, and I'm going to add a node called a label. And a label is simply a place where you can have some text. And so up here, I'm going to say score. And if I zoom in, you can see that that actually shows up right there. I'm going to choose my move tool, drag it down, but it doesn't look real great. And unlike Game Maker, we don't have built-in fonts. So I'm actually going to go to the web, and I'm going to go to a place called Font, and they have all kinds of free fonts that you can use. Some of them have certain uh, rules about using them, like you can only use them for personal projects or something like that. You can see there's tons of themes. Um, so I could spend a lot of time just going through and looking for a font that I might want. But for today, this one happens to be a featured one. So I'm going to go ahead and choose that. So download, and then I'm going to extract it. So show in folder, downloaded here. I'm going to extract it, and I'm going to put it in my folder for Catch the Clown, which I think is this one. Um, Godot 2323. We'll find out in a minute. So I'm going to select that folder and extract. And yeah, there's my other assets. So when I get in, um, here's my font there. So to change this, I'll have the label selected. I'll have to go over to the inspector, go to custom fonts. I want to do a new dynamic font. And when I click on that, then that gives me another place to load this. My head's always in the way. And you can see that that loaded that in, and it changed my font. It's a little small though, so I can go up here to settings. I know I'm going fast. Feel free to pause the video, and I can enlarge it until I get something that I feel pretty satisfied with. I can also change the outline color. So if I wanted the outline to be red, and then change the outline size. So I could do that. I could change the font color itself, going down here to custom colors, choose the font color, and I could make the font say yellow. And you could customize this to your heart's delight. I plan to use this font later. So I'm going to go here and say save. Actually, no, I got to save this up here, save, and I'm going to call it game font. And then that way I can use it for other things. So I have a place for my score. And now what I need to do is I need to program my clown to communicate with game, update that. So the game actually is going to need its own script, and I'm going to create a function called update score. So function update score, and it's going to need an argument score. And what it's going to do is get node. So the $ means get node, and you can see all of the children are here. The child I'm most concerned with right now is label. And so it's going to get that node from its children. and I'm going to say text equals, and in parentheses, score, or quotations. And just like Game Maker, it's going to do exactly what I put in the quotes, exactly like that. And then it's going to say plus the string of score. Now it's going to give me an error saying that, actually, I'm going to change this to new score. And then I'm up here, I'm going to declare a variable score and set that to 0. And then in the ready event, I'm going to run the update score and pass along the argument score. So let's see. So when you pass an argument, score is going to be whatever score is. When you receive it, there's all kinds of intricacies that I'm not going to bore you with. Just do what I do and you'll see that it's going to work out fine. So score should be equal to 0 because it said run this function and use this information. And this information right now is 0. And so even though, if you remember in the label, I didn't put that score was 0, when this code is run in the ready event, like a create event, happens immediately, it passes the score to this function to run it. Now, how can our clown use it? So what we're going to do is we're going to create a custom signal. So we're going to say signal score change. And so that's going to emit or send a message out to anybody who's listening, that the score has changed. And we're going to connect that to the game here. We're going to say connect, and then we need to have our signal score changed. We got to say who to connect it to. And in this case, we're going to connect it to our parent. The game is a parent of the clown. So we're going to say get parent, which would then be game. And then we have to have the function that we want to connect. And I've already forgotten what we call that. The function is update score. So back to clown. And we want to connect this signal so that it will run update score. So then when we have the score change, we're going to emit that signal. So here we've done something good. We're going to say score change equals 10, positive 10. And we're going to emit signal. And I've already forgot what we called it. What was our signal called? Score changed. Score changed. So when that is emitted, it is going to send an argument, in this case, score change. This value is going to be sent along with this message, and it should update the score by positive 10. But I don't think I put that in there. So back to the game, when it receives this, we're going to also say, before it changes or updates that, score plus equals new score, which the score change is going to, this argument is going to be whatever that message that was passed. Let's see if I've done this right. So the score will change by whatever this argument that it received is. So I may have screwed this all up. Let's find out. As you can see, we're able to make our score change. It's the clown is sending a message, a signal to game that something has happened, and it's given it relevant information. So it says change it by this much. Now, how do we make it so it takes points away when we miss? Easy. So here we say else. So up here, we said if mouse in, do all these really good things. So what is the other option? Well, mouse in is going to be false, because this, if mouse in is the same as saying if mouse in is true, we're going to say mouse emit signal, score changed, but this time we're going to say negative score. Actually, I guess we can say the actual value, because let's see, how do I want to do this? I think I want to move this up. So it's going to change the score no matter what when the button is pressed. So that this is going to be used one way or the other. So this will just be negative score change. And let's see if that works. So if mouse in is true, I should get a positive 10. If mouse in is false, then the score change will be negative and change it by that much. Let's see if this works. Awesome. Now let me miss on purpose. Oh, oh, I'm blowing it. No, I'm not really. The last thing I want to do with you guys is put a button in for replay. Now, again, Godot does not have a built-in sprite editor, but it does have some buttons that we can use. So I'm going to use a button. It's going to go right here as a child of game. So make sure that it's a child of game and not one of these other things. And by default, it looks pretty terrible. But we'll quickly fix that. I'm going to choose my select mode, make it a little bit bigger. Inside of it, I want some text, and I want that text to be replay. Looks terrible. So to fix that, I'm going to go to custom fonts, and I'm going to try to load the font that I was using before. And so you can see that's why I saved it before. So it's the same size, same outline. The only thing it doesn't have is the color, and that's easily fixed. Now, the button does something really interesting in that it will allow you to make it change depending on what's going on. So you can have the colors change if you're hovering over the button or if you're pressing the button. I'm not going to do any of that, but it can be a lot of fun. Another thing I'm going to do is make my button look a little bit better. So I'm going to go to custom styles. Actually, no, I'm going to go to, how do I want to do this? So is it theme? Nope. Just give me a second. Where is what I'm looking for? I am drawing a blank right now. So I'm going to pause the video and I'm going to look for that and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. And so I was looking in the right place. So I'm going to choose normal. I'm going to say I want a new style box flat. By the way, if you did have a sprite for your button, you could load it here. But I'm going to do as you'd have to load it as a box texture. I'm going to do style box flat. That's going to give me some more options. So when I click there, I can change the color of my. So I think I don't know what I want to do. I'm just going to go with a little bit of a gray. I also want it to have a border. So border width, I'm going to increase that to 5. And now it doesn't really do anything. It moves the text a little bit. Well, actually, I guess you can see it a little bit. The border has this color. I want the border to be a little bit darker. And I want it to blend like a smoothing. So I'm going to say blend yes. And so now there's my button. Now I don't want it to show by default. I want to move it too. I want it to be a little more centered. So one of the things that I can do is I can say hide it. So by default, it's hidden. And then when my game is over, I can then introduce it. Now, I'm not going to complete the game today because what I really need to do now is to have a timer. And this video has already been long enough. I guess we'll need one more video to wrap this up. But today we were able to get a score into our game. We were able to use a custom signal so that the clown could communicate with our game. Just a reminder of what all that looks like. My replay button, I forgot to re-hide it. Actually, you know what? I'm glad we're going to do another video because I wanted to show you the one last physics body too. So that's fine. So right now we have a score that goes up, a score that goes down. In our next video, we'll add a timer. We'll add something called a rigid body to create some confetti when our clown explodes. And we'll enable this button to work when we get back to it. So that's it for this video. Thank you for watching.